Hello, listeners. Welcome to A-musa Data Solution channel. In this today's screencast, I'm going to show you how I use Shiny for Python framework to build this particular kind of dashboard presented on the screen. This dashboard is I developed this dashboard using Shiny for Python as well as semantic package developed by Appsilon. Uh, Initially, Shiny framework is only available for R, which is developed by Posit. In these days, Posit try their best and provide the package to be available for Python's framework so that the data scientists, data analytics, machine learning, and others individual can be able to produce exactly as the way they used to do in our framework. So without wasting time, let us dive into this dashboard so we can see how it's going to be. This is just to illustrate the power of Shiny Web Framework. I have a database that contains three tables. The first one contains the product, the units, the information of the customer, as well as the product sales. So as you can see presented here in this screen, I have a headings that start with welcome to A-musa Data Solution channel. So I have a graphical representations of the total sales by month. So as you can see here, we have the highest month that has the highest occurring when individuals are purchasing a particular items on that in that market. On the other on the right hand side, you can see the product has been sold, in which we have the milk is the most a product patronized by customer, followed by oils, rice, and sugar, while coffee is the least product patronized. So going forward, we want to see a top 10 customers that usually uh, used to patronize our product. So on the left hand side, you can see this is a bar chart graphical representation illustrating a particular individual that usually come and purchase a product in our market. So this is the name. You can see Salome Wilson, Joseph Thomas, Fatima Usman, Umar Sani, Salisu Farouk, and so on and so forth, while on the other hand is the customer segmentation based on their based on their purchase. So for this right hand side tables, this is a pandas data frame where I use a SQL case statement to categorize customer into three groups: the medium, the lower, and the height. So how cool is this? This is a powerful framework. I love Shiny for Pythons because initially I tried to produce this kind of dashboard using Streamlit and Plax and Django, but I find it very difficult for me to come up with this particular kind of dashboard. With this, I would like to say a big thank you for Fuzit. We really appreciate with this kind of efforts. In always to make sure that data science and machine learning are being more easiest to individuals that usually carry their day-to-day activities. So what I want to show you still is the other segment of this dashboard that you can present it as multiple page. So if you look at here on the title bar, I have a form. This I just use this to illustrate it, where we'll be able to develop a kind of user registration form where you can type in different figures and document it. So uh, as I said it earlier, this is a dashboard built completely using Python framework, Shiny for Python framework. So let me take you into the code environment so you can see how I use a Python. But before going into the Pythons, let me take you into my database so you can see how this data is. This is a SQL-like database for desktop. As you can see here, okay, let me just sales and query my data so I can have a full understanding. You can see this is the sales tables with 3,000 rows of individuals that usually purchase our product. So if I want to query for the other customer, you can see a particular information that pop up. These are the list of information of the individual that usually patronize our product. So if I want to see a list of product that I have, I can still go and do select stuff from product where I will be having a list of products. So you can see rice, coffee, milk, sugar, and so on and so forth. So let me take you to BS Code so I can show you my Python code, how I use to program this a particular kind of dashboard. Uh, these are the list of packages I use: date time, import SQLite, import date time, import pandas, plotly expression, and so on and so forth. These are the list of packages I use. So what next? The next step is I was able to define a directory where my database will be, as well as I will be able to connect with that database and fetch my data. So I begin after the connection of my database, then I now begin try to fetch the data. So these are the queries I write to select a totals of price from the database. So the next thing I want to show you is to do something a feature engineering, how I clean my data using a pandas data frame. These are a kind of queries I usually apply in cleaning my data. So with this one, I use a functions developed so that to maintain my uniformity of my a cards for the illustrated presented on the web portal. So this is the beginning of my shiny web app framework, as we all know that in the R, if you are building a particular kind of dashboard using R, always you are starting with UI, that is the front end, as well as you end up with a particular kind of back end. That is where the logical statement take place. So for the UI, I was able to develop my a front end where I begin with this. So you can see here navbar page and so on and so forth. So for the purpose of this, I will just try to show you the power of Pythons for shiny for Pythons in developing a data science application. So as you can see here, these are all my UI framework, user interface framework. These are all my user framework interface where I apply a color, the body, the background color, and so on and so forth. So here is the back end where I develop a particular kind of the calculations, all my calculations that take place. So I begin with my definition. I define a function, a server functions that consist of input, output, session. These are similar to Shiny in R framework. What differentiate here is in Python's framework, we usually use a decorators, that is at output decorators at render widget. So this I'm using a plotly expression to present my chart here. So these are the back end where the logical calculations take place. As you can see, all these are my charts presented here. Implementing SQL query also is allowed here. These are the SQL query that apply in selecting my data. and finally present it as objects that produce a plot for me, as you can see on the back on the web portal presented earlier. So how cool is this, man? I love shiny framework for Python. This is just the beginning. I'm sure a lot of features are coming for us to be able to be carrying our data science projects. Thank you so much. I really appreciate with all the kind of support, the articles I have read where I was able to get adequate knowledge. I really appreciate. Faucet is one of the best. I recommend individuals to go and check their web portal for relevant articles. Thank you so much. So I'll see you next.